The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Old Ones is a wholly remarkable book, perhaps the most remarkable, certainly the most successful ever to come out of the great publishing corporation of Miskatonic. More popular than How to Tame Amigo, better selling than 42 Incantations to Summon an Old One, and more controversial than Alhazard's trilogy of philosophical blockbusters where Cthulhu went wrong, some more of Cthulhu's greatest mistakes, and who is this Cthulhu person anyway? It's already supplanted the Encyclopedia Cthulhuinca as the standard repository of all knowledge and wisdom, for two important reasons. First, it requires slightly less sacrifices, and secondly it has the word "Stay Sane" printed in large friendly letters on its cover. The first contact was bound to happen. The galaxy, let alone the universe, was simply too big for just a singular species to develop intelligence in. Any delay in contact only meant a heightening of the eventual culture shock. In humanity's case, this culture shock meant the complete extinction of mankind as it had come to be known. Almost 1 billion years old, the alien species known as Q were galactic nomads, traveling from one spiral arm to another in epoch-spanning migrations. During their travels they constantly improved and changed themselves until they became masters of genetic and nanotechnological manipulation. With this ability to control the material world, they assumed a religious, self-imposed mission to remake the universe as they saw fit. Powerful as gods, Q saw themselves as the divine harbingers of the future. This dogma was rooted in what had been a benevolent attempt to protect the race from its own power. However, blind, unquestioning obedience had made monsters of the Q. To them humanity, with all of its relative glories, was nothing more than a transmutable subject. Within less than 1,000 years, every human world was destroyed, depopulated, or even worse, changed. Despite the fervent rearmament, the colonies could achieve nothing against its billion-year-old foes, save for a few flashes of ephemeral resistance. Humanity, once the ruler of the stars, was now extinct. However, humans were not. C.M. Kozman. In the unfathomable depths of the cosmos, where the feeble light of distant stars dare not penetrate, there exist entities of such malevolent and aberrant nature that the human mind can scarcely comprehend their grotesque forms. Among these eldritch horrors, there resides a species known as the Q, whose biology is an affront to the natural order and a testament to the despotic cruelty of the universe. The Q, unearthly creatures from the blasphemous realm of all tomorrows, are unlike any organism known to our fragile earthly understanding. They possess a monstrous visage, with their writhing, tentacle-like appendages that emerge from the amorphous mass of their gelatinous bodies. Their undulating forms seem to defy the very foundations of anatomy and physiology, as though they were sculpted by the mad hands of some cosmic artist, intent on creating a being whose very existence would shatter the delicate framework of sanity. At the core of their abominable form lies a central, pulsating organ, a blasphemous mockery of a heart, whose rhythmic contractions pump an ichor of unknown composition through a network of writhing, vein-like conduits. This cryptic circulatory system feeds the myriad of alien tissues that constitute the Q's unholy form, nourishing its grotesque biology with the dark energies of the cosmos. Their nervous systems are an enigma, a labyrinthine network of neurons that defy conventional understanding. The Q possess a multitude of sensory organs, each more grotesque than the last, that allow them to perceive the world through a myriad of twisted, alien perspectives. Their capacity for thought and reason is unfathomable, as their minds are unshackled from the constraints of human logic and comprehension. The Q reproduce through a process that is as disturbing as it is unnatural. Upon reaching maturity, they dive deep into water. Their hideous forms undergo a monstrous metamorphosis, splitting open to reveal a brood of wriggling, embryonic abominations. These repulsive offspring, mere larvae in comparison to their fully grown kin, feast upon the remains of their parent, growing fat and strong on the decaying ruins of their progenitor's corpse. This behavior is similar to some species of spiders that practice matrophagy, or mother-eating. The spiderlings feed on unfertilized eggs and also slowly consume their mother over several weeks. Another example of animal cannibalism is the Caecilian, a legless amphibian that gives birth to live young. The babies have specialized teeth that they use to peel off and eat their mother's skin. The Q lives this stage in aquatic worlds. This stage was crucial for their development, as it allowed them to acquire genetic material from other organisms in the water and incorporate it into their own genome. This gave them a great advantage in adapting to different environments and evolving new abilities. The larval stage of the Q was rarely seen by other races, as they usually kept it hidden in their ships or planets. However, some artists have attempted to depict it based on descriptions or conjectures. One example shows a Q larva with a segmented body, 4 eyes, 2 antennae, and a mouth surrounded by tentacles. The larva is floating in a tank filled with water and organic matter. The illustration also suggests that the larva can communicate with other Q through electrical impulses or pheromones. The origin of the Q is not revealed in the book, but it is implied that they are very old and have traveled across many galaxies. Many scholars believe that they originated from the planet Puan-2, where they had an aquatic larval stage. They developed advanced technology and genetic engineering, and became galactic nomads, traveling from one spiral arm to another in epoch-spanning migrations. They had a religious mission to remake the universe as they saw fit, using their power to manipulate and enslave other species. They were arrogant and intolerant of any other form of intelligence, seeing themselves as the only rightful rulers of the cosmos. Being nomads, they didn't have a fixed habitat, but rather adapted themselves to various environments using their genetic engineering. They colonized and modified different planets and ecosystems as they saw fit, using their power to manipulate and enslave other species. They also built mile-high pyramids on every world they conquered, as a symbol of their power and religion. It is speculated that they are primarily ocean dwellers, able to traverse even the most hostile landscapes with ease. The Q also had starships that they used to travel across the universe. The ships had habitats stacked on top of each other, like the floors of a skyscraper. The ships contained numerous facilities, including spawning pools, where the Q reproduced and raised their young, gardens, where they grew genetically modified plants and animals, and temples, where they worshipped their cosmic mission. The ships also had weapons that could destroy stars and planets. The ships also had decorations made of living creatures that the Q enslaved or created. The Q starships were rarely seen by other races, as they usually kept them hidden or cloaked. However, some artists have attempted to depict them based on descriptions or conjectures. One example shows a Q starship with a cylindrical shape and 4 large engines. It also suggests that the starship has a force field that protects it from attacks. Despite being nomads and rarely seen, their influence can be felt throughout the galaxy. Such influence is what humanity encountered during their early days. During those times, a small discovery of immense implications warned humanity that it might not be alone. On a newly colonized world, engineers had stumbled across the remains of a puzzling creature, considered so because it had every hallmark of terrestrial animals on an alien planet. Justifiably named Pandoravis Pandora, the colossal fossil belonged to a bird-like creature with enormous claws. Later research determined it to be a highly derived therizinosaur, from a lineage of herbivorous dinosaurs that died out millions of years ago on Earth. While every other large land animal on that colony world had 3 limbs, a copper-based skeletal system and hydrostatically operated muscles, Pandoravis was a typical terrestrial vertebrate with calcium-rich bones and 4 extremities. Finding it there was as unlikely as finding an alien creature in Earth's own strata. One aspect of the Q culture is their artistic expression. They use their genetic and nanotechnological mastery to create living works of art that reflect their aesthetic preferences and religious beliefs. They often modify existing life forms or create new ones from scratch, giving them unusual shapes, colors, and functions. They also use organic materials to craft sculptures, paintings, and ornaments that adorn their habitats and monuments. They favor bright colors that contrast with the natural environments they invade, geometric shapes that impose order and symmetry on the chaotic diversity of life, and symmetry that reflects their sense of perfection and harmony. Their art is not only a source of pleasure and amusement for them, but also a way of asserting their dominance and superiority over other species. An example of this is creation of the Mantelopes. They had been bred as singers and memory retainers, acting much like living recorders during the reign of Q. Another example is the Tempters, strange creatures with plant-like females and monkey-like males. The females dominated the males with signals and bred them for obedience. They are used for decoration. The Q are also curious and like to experiment with different genetic combinations and nanotechnological applications. They often test their creations on themselves or other species, sometimes with disastrous results. They also collect specimens from different worlds and store them in their archives or museums. They are arrogant and consider themselves superior to all other forms of life. They do not communicate or cooperate with other intelligent races, unless they want to manipulate or subjugate them. They also do not care about the consequences of their actions on the ecosystems or civilizations they disrupt or destroy. There is no definitive answer to how to survive the Q, as they are a fictional alien race that has the power to manipulate life and matter at will. However, here are some possible strategies. Hiding underground or in remote locations, hoping that the Q will not find or bother with them. This was attempted by some human colonies, but most of them were eventually discovered and transformed by the Q. This was the fate of the worm people. Resisting the Q invasion with weapons and technology, trying to inflict enough damage or deterrence to make them leave. This was also tried by some human worlds, but they were vastly outmatched by the Q's superior forces and abilities. The Q revenged this by turning these humans into colonials, a living filter system to the Q's waste. Adapting to the Q's modifications and finding a way to survive in their new forms. This was the fate of most human-derived species that remained after the Q left. Some of them managed to regain some level of intelligence or civilization, while others became extinct or reverted to animal-like states. However, the best proven way is to hide in asteroids and maintain radio silence. This was tried by the Spacers and they survived the first wave of the Q. Genetic and nanotechnological manipulation. The Q can alter life and matter at will, creating new species, ecologies, and structures according to their vision. They can also modify themselves and their own biology to adapt to different environments and tasks. Interstellar travel. The Q can travel across the galaxy and beyond in fast and small, automated ships that can terraform and colonize new worlds. They can also transport other species and objects across vast distances. The Q can use powerful weapons and devices that can destroy stars, planets, and entire solar systems. They can also shield themselves from attacks and detect hidden enemies with ease. They can communicate with each other and with other species using vocal and pheromonal signals. They can also use nanotechnological drones and genetically modified tracing creatures to assist them in their missions. The Q also use semi-sentient beings that can communicate with the Q and with other species using vocal and pheromonal signals. The Q use them as assistants, messengers, or companions in their missions. They can also use them to influence or manipulate other beings.